Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us here for today's webinar. It's now 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We see folks are trickling in, so we'll give you about 10 seconds as we get ready here for the webinar that we're presenting today. All right, it looks like the bulk of everyone who is going to join has joined us. So thank you everybody for joining us today for the market trends and the case for adding parcel shipping to your freight TMS presented to you by Ceresys. I'm Adam from Ceresys and PureBridge. Now, the reason why we're here today is that what we all know between death and taxes, the only constant, just like those two things in shipping, is change. Of course, the markets are changing. Market forces such as the capacity crunch that we all faced last year. Maybe it's importers who are trying to get ahead of potential tariffs that are impacting the market. We all were, aware of the ELD mandate and the hours of service rule changes that we absorbed into our day-to-day operations as carriers were looking to navigate that new mandate, and as shippers were impacted. And of course, the rising trend of e-commerce, it's impacting everyone. And what does that mean? Well, freight shippers are now having to really look at parcel as an option, as a way to become flexible or save and deconsolidate maybe LTL into parcel, or vice versa, consolidate parcel into LTL or even LTL into full truckload. But the reality is the customer is now at the heart of everything you do, and you need to make sure you get your products to them on time. So even freight shippers are starting to increase parcel volumes, and they're going to have to look for solutions. So that's the heart of what we're going to be talking about in today's webinar. So thanks for joining us. Now, let's get started and introduce our speakers. But before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. You are joining us today on a GoToWebinar platform. And so you're logged in using that. In this about 45-minute presentation, we will be going over some really good information. So you can listen. If you have any questions that come up, you can easily use the questions panel in the GoToWebinar interface and type in your questions at any time. At about 45 minutes or a little bit after the presentation, we're going to be answering your questions, and we'll make sure we get as many as we can and have time for. Of course, at the end of this presentation, we're going to send out copies to whoever registered for this webinar and the recording of it as well. So you can share it with friends or colleagues and anybody you think might be interested in it, or rewatch it yourself. So let's first introduce our speakers. We'll introduce ourselves. I am Adam Robinson. I am the head of the marketing here at Ceresys. We are a North American third-party logistics company. We focus on surface transportation management for full truckload, less than truckload, parcel, and of course we have options for final mile, and as well as now parcel, thanks to our partners at PureBridge and their Transstream technology. A little bit about me. I absolutely love this industry. I did not come from it, joined it about 7 years ago. And as a marketer, I have to be curious, and I think as a lot of us do, I really got excited about the supply chain and freight and logistics and how important it is to our daily lives. It really drives the economy, and as all of us really love stuff in this society, it's really awesome to be at the center of making sure people get their stuff on time. So that's a little bit about me from Ceresys. Now, Bob, over to you, who will be joining me on today's webinar. Tell the folks here a little bit about yourself and a little bit about PureBridge.
Well, thanks, Adam, and thanks for the introduction. My name is Bob Leva. I am in charge of alliances and partnerships with PureBridge. I have been in the small parcel automation process industry basically since its inception and for all of my adult life. I've worked closely with many very large shippers over those years, bringing them efficient, affordable solutions to help them better manage their costs and make sure that their customer satisfaction levels are above board. So thank you for your time today, and look forward to sharing with you how we see the marketplace and the trends and where it's going to go. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks for that. And today we're going to first start out, we're going to take a look back at the market trends for 2018. We're going to have Bob take a look at omni-channel shipping, the impact to both B2C buyers, but also B2B. B2B shippers are having to face that as well now. Then we're going to talk about lean shipping, means not so lean profits. So if you really optimize shipping and you're lean in your practices, well, that means more for your bottom line. And Bob will go over that. And then I'll take a look kind of at what we saw as far as rates for the last 12 months and maybe a little bit of an outlook of what we'll see over the next 12 months. So Bob, take it away with omni-channel shipping.
All right, well, thank you again, Adam. Just kind of a look back at 2018 from an e-commerce perspective. 43% of all online sales actually occurred through Amazon. They continue to grow significantly. Actually, they attributed for 53% of the e-commerce growth in 2018. 85 million Amazon customers were actually Amazon Prime customers, and that attributed to 38% growth in the Prime customer population. One thing that they brought about was 2.3 million packages actually delivered on Sundays. Not too many years ago, everything was Monday through Friday, then it became Saturday, and here we are now 7 days a week making deliveries. Interestingly, last Thursday or Wednesday, I think it was, FedEx Corporation announced that FedEx Ground will be making deliveries 7 days a week to the majority of the US population beginning in January to further serve the fast-growing e-commerce market. FedEx also stated that they're well positioned to meet the expected demand for services, which they expect to the average daily volume for small parcels to double by 2026. So in 7 short years, that number is going to double again. E-commerce is booming. Retailers continued in 2018 to bring forth their omni-channel strategy to compete with the marketplaces and attempt to create a leaner transportation model. The national parcel carriers, on the other hand, increased the base rates by 4.9% as a general rate increase, which is twice the rate of inflation. In addition, more delivery surcharges were brought to the market, or higher costs in return service fees, higher oversized charges, all creating greater price pressure, further making it more difficult for retailers to compete with the marketplaces. Pitney Bowes conducted a study which showed that the cost of shipping small parcel increased 53% over the last 10 years and anticipates that only to continue. So higher parcel costs, along with higher expectations of the marketplace, have led to the retailer to look at all available inventories and fulfill from locations closest to the consumer, whether that be shipping to the store for customer pickup, from the store, or directly to the nearest warehouse or supplier or manufacturer, all to meet delivery needs. Can we move to, thank you very much. So ship to the store provides a lower cost of delivery, and that those items picked up at the store generally can be shipped to the store at a much lower cost, almost riding for free from the DC or supplier as part of the daily replenishment of the store's merchandise. Also, it gets the consumer into the store, creating an opportunity to present more merchandise for them to buy. Ship from the store can greatly reduce shipping costs, as based upon the concentration of locations potentially to ship from, what were zone 5 deliveries coming out of the warehouse on average, taken 3 days or more via ground, can now be delivered next day ground, as the stores are much closer to where the customer is. And of course, we all know that there's a local delivery services as well coming about. That being, local carriers create lower costs and can also provide same-day service from the store to the customer. There are impediments to this strategy, however, and that's there's too many islands of technology that run across the supply chain to often pull this off without a hitch. Disparate transportation management solutions unable to be Omnimodal in support of the omni-channel strategy. So what's required from an enterprise omnimodal TMS platform? Well, it needs to be one that can be quickly deployed, putting the power that is necessary to make the intelligent transportation decisions where they need to occur, sharing the information across the network to all those that are in support of getting the goods through the supply chain of the omni-channel distribution model. So with that, we can take a single platform and provide rates during the shopping transaction when shopping carts are ready to be executed. Taking what was selected from the time the customer said they wanted to purchase the goods to assure that that information is available to fulfillment to execute upon the customer's expectations. Again, sharing that same information across the same platform for your customer service employees to take care of the customers. Again, also taking into the mix and understanding what's the ability to ship it from the store, the cost for doing so, sharing that with the customer, and then giving the customer a portal to do returns as opposed to having to send out a return label with every package that goes out the door. And then finally, giving your suppliers opportunities to ship on the same platform so all that information is available in one spot, one source to allow you to best support your customers. So the next area is what we are calling lean shipping, which we describe as how the industry is moving to take the air out of the containers. Trucks are filling up faster than they ever have in the past. Not only small parcel delivery cars, but also the trailers, the LTL freight trailers, filling up, crunching capacity. Vehicles are cubing out prior to maxing out by weight. So where shippers have been historically charged by weight and distance, it is now by space or cube and distance. It's created a significant increase in shipping costs for those that are not paying attention to how cartons are selected for what's being packed or how pallets are actually being loaded. The WMS system has typically not taken this space consideration into account. It's more concerned about picking efficiencies. How many footsteps does it take to pick an order? What are the lines per order that are, or lines per minute that are being picked by my pickers and packers? What's my lift truck utilization? So what they're trying to do is make for an efficient warehouse without the concern to transportation charges or cube. And we're basically then taking money from Peter to pay Paul. Let's do it efficiently in the warehouse, but give back everything when it comes time to transportation charges. So what needs to happen is more attention needs to be paid to cartonization, palletization, and containerization. How to optimize the space to take the air out. If I'm going to estimate shipping costs, I can no longer look at the weight and destination. Cube has to be considered. When quoting shipping online, if I don't take cube into account, I may overcharge or undercharge my customer. It really depends upon whether or not I'm shipping anvils or I'm shipping pillows. So getting it right can mean winning or losing as it relates to profitability of an order, as well as whether or not the shopping cart is abandoned. One of the main causes for shopping cart abandonment is excess shipping. And excess shipping will come about as a result of not truly understand what my DIMs are. Next slide, please. So really, in addition to helping win more business by reducing shopping cart abandonment or order abandonment and profitability, other cost measures occur as well. We reduce damages when packing more tighter and efficiently, as well as we increase customer satisfaction. The customers are beginning to read the news and understand the same thing about the capacity crunch, and if they get a box filled with air, they're not going to be very happy and know that they probably overpaid. So they don't want all the dunnage to have to deal with as well in terms of the waste. So the cartonization technology involves understanding the products available in a product master, along with each product's physical dimensions, and understanding the inventory of boxes available to be considered to pack into, as well as the dim factors of each of the carrier. The algorithms then work very quickly to determine the box size or sizes, the items per box, and the configuration of how items are to be put in a box. And with that, we're meeting the promised delivery date at the lowest possible cost to the shipper or merchant and the customer. It really becomes win-win-win. The customer wins, the merchant or shipper wins, and the carriers win as well.
Good stuff, Bob. All right, so let's take a let's take a look kind of at some rates and what those we're looking at over the last 12 months and kind of what we're looking at for rates and demand over the next 12 months. So very important for freight shippers to understand that as they look at some of these parcel moves and how they can benefit from optimizing parcel shipping alongside freight. So general rate increases have occurred in 7 of the last 12 months. This is really due to that capacity crunch we saw last year, due to those various factors like the ELD mandate, hours of service regulations, and those importers looking to get ahead of those tariffs. So those are the reasons those rates were increasing. Now, obviously this year, the full truckload has a softer spot market right now, but we're also still seeing pretty increased activity because of the economy on the LTL side and really consumer confidence and demand on the parcel side. So we're really looking at LTL and parcel here. We saw about a 10% increase in peak season last year compared to 2017's peak season. Probably has a lot to do with more folks shopping online during the holidays and bulk orders going out to retailers or distribution centers to meet that demand. And for 2019, this may lead to LTL rates that climb an additional 5% throughout the year on average. There could be some carriers that go higher or less. Additionally, accessorial rate charges should increase by about 10%. As fuel is kind of fluctuating and hard to predict, carriers are going to look at those accessorial fees as a way to stabilize their own profitability, among other things such as driver pay, and they'll work to offset that. Also, e-commerce demand has risen approximately 7% in the last year, and really they're going to predict the analyst that the growth of e-commerce is expected to rival 35% growth in 2020. So between now and the end of 2020, we'll have 35% increase in demand. Now, one of the things that is also something to keep an eye on is the driver availability and the amount of drivers willing to work for the current wages. The BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, really refutes the American Trucking Association's claim that there is a driver shortage. And in the end, they've sort of come to an agreement that drivers really need to be treated better and paid better. As carriers work to stabilize their profitability, as shippers work to optimize their own shipping, and 3PLs work to really help those two entities maximize their companies, it's the drivers we want to look at next, things like detention time and how they're paid. And so Walmart has really rewarded those drivers, and other carriers will follow suit so they can keep and attract their own drivers. So look for that to really maybe get passed on in the way of rates to freight rates, but those are things to consider when it comes to carrier visibility this year. All right, so now let's look even further ahead in 2019 at our market trends. Bob's going to take a quick look at international parcel shipping and what that looks like, the rise of and the importance to focus on by freight shippers of local delivery services. And I'll cover a look at optimizing your outcomes in freight and transportation management by looking at analytics and a little bit about predictive analytics. So Bob, if you can take it on the international parcel shipping side, please.
I can, Adam, and I totally agree in terms of the drivers. They are really going to be one of the keys to dealing with the capacity crunch that the marketplace is experiencing today. But e-commerce and online shopping obviously isn't something that's just happening in the US. E-commerce knows no geographic boundaries. The international consumer does not really care about what it takes for an online merchant to get merchandise from origin A to international destination B. They press the buy button just as we do and expect that it automatically arrives on their doorstep in 3 to 5 days. As a consequence, global shipping is on the rise. Customs brokers are calling this a parcel tsunami. Just as we are seeing smaller, more frequent shipments domestically, the same thing is occurring internationally. Another recent study by Pitney Bowes, tells us that 66% of consumers are now consuming online, and 40% of those purchases are goods from other countries. This demand for online goods created a 17% increase in parcel volume worldwide in 2018, moving the number of parcels shipped globally to 74 billion parcels. Amazing. It's anticipating that the global volume of parcels will exceed 100 billion by 2020. So hey, baby, if you're not shipping parcels today, you're going to be shipping them in the future if you're going to be around very long. Next slide, please. So, all right, very good. The enterprise transportation management platforms can assist you and take some of the complexity away by providing the appropriate international documentation to support the transaction. One of the major reasons goods will be held up in customs is the paperwork is inconsistent between the documents. This can be avoided by having a central system to generate all those documents in a consistent format. The cost of having your TMS create the documents is significantly lower than having your freight forwarder create them on your behalf, and quite often. Many shippers have begun to take over the process of creating the document set for international shipments. Connectors are now available to the TMSs to understand restricted or denied parties to transactions to ensure that you are not doing business with anyone that the federal government says you should not be doing business with. Taking advantage of such connectors will go a long way in reducing the fines that may be imposed by the federal government for doing business with these bad guys. Additionally, total landed cost calculators can be accessed to understand duties and taxes, so terms can be changed to DDP, where the international customer is not surprised or rejects your shipment because of the unexpected cost of duties and taxes. Finally, consolidating cross-border shipments for single customs clearance with the ability to print the last mile carrier label in your warehouse is working out very well for many international shippers. UPS, FedEx, and Purolator have formal programs now where they manage both the line haul and the final mile in the Omnimodal fashion, while others have set up their own networks using their own freight carriers to provide the line haul to deconsolidation or cross-dock facilities across the border, and then use multiple last mile carriers for the final mile. So the next trend that we're closely following is the expansion of local delivery services. There's a significant increase in the use of local couriers or delivery providers as a result of the increase in commodities that are being bought online. Also fueling this trend is the capacity crunch that has come about as a result of the emergence of e-commerce order volume. Earlier in the decade, we watched a group of regional carriers become successful as part of the supply chain. Now we are seeing more Amazon delivery vehicles, more group source delivery services such as Deliv or Uber, offering same-day delivery services to meet the ever-growing demand. So as you can imagine, the next generation of carriers is that of the local carrier. It's not just limited to parcel as mentioned earlier. We are actually seeing larger items being purchased online than ever before. CSCMP last year stated that LTL deliveries had increased by 6.6%. This was largely due to LTL carriers getting into the last mile delivery, or white glove services and over the threshold services, as millennials are buying mattresses, appliances, furniture, even automobiles now online. So this year and next, we will see a continuance of the blurring of the line between parcel, local, regional, and freight carriers as items being delivered through the omni-channel model has required we become omnimodal. And with this model, it creates a whole new set of challenges for the enterprise systems to be able to tap into the network of these carriers available to meet the delivery expectations of the lowest cost to the consumer. The solutions need to be able to rate, to tender, to track, provide proof of delivery, and pay for the services as seamlessly as possible. We don't want to go ahead and create a lot more work for the logistics organizations to be able to operate in this new world. So it's much easier to do business with a handful of national or regional carriers than it is a multitude of small local carriers. In the old world, the relationship is many to one. I have many shipments to one carrier. But in the new world, it'll be getting down to local carriers. It becomes few to one due to the limited geography that the local couriers serve. So a lot more difficult type transactions that need to be automated. Yet all these local carriers will do business significantly different, making the process more complex. Adam, away to you.
The use of analytics. Now, knowing where a product or shipment is in transit has really always been a major driver of innovation in the supply chain. That buzzword we call visibility, but it really is not enough in today's internet-connected world. Analytics simply means using mathematics and algorithms to isolate common occurrences and possible links between them. So even the simplest computer programs can have analytic properties. Think about the find field in your web browser. But really, that is the surface of analytics. Now, you still must figure out what the data means and how it applies to your industry or individual discipline. Through various TMS solutions that have integrated built-in analytics, companies can achieve that greater visibility beyond the where it's at factor. Modern companies want to drill down into details, seeing possible causes and what's causing the issue, what's the root issue. A feature possible only through cross-checking of variables to isolate various trends. So for companies operating with higher volumes, this is not really possible through spreadsheet-based analysis. Instead, automated analytics are going to handle everything, presenting you, the user, with the information you need to improve visibility and improve outcomes. So one of the often forgotten benefits of analytics remains reducing the number of touch points per shipment. Analytics are supposed to help companies streamline processes ranging from warehouse management, and that includes picking and packaging, to selecting the best transit mode. Shipments with fewer touch points are less likely to become damaged or end up in the wrong truck. Analytics consider all the possible scenarios for a given shipment and select the best route. For example, shipment might be held to be included in a full truckload shipment, which may be faster than delivery versus LTL, or perhaps choosing parcel may be faster than either one of those and can have better service limits, or maybe there's better price options. The key is identifying which shipments can be moved from LTL to full truckload to parcel and vice versa without causing delays in those delivery windows. In addition, this leads to less paperwork and accounting processes per shipment, increasing overall accuracy and efficiency, promoting your ability to control cost and to communicate at any point to anybody where your shipments are, where they're going, and justify why you've made the decisions you've made for your various modes. Further, predictive analytics really give you an opportunity, the ability to move from information to optimization. They drive continuous improvement through your organization and beyond. They help vendors see more about how to better serve your company. And on the other end, you can use analytics to hold manufacturers accountable for customers' complaints or needs. The key to analytics is really simple. Let them do their job, showing you what your business needs to improve. Essentially, TMS analytics are the guardians of sustainable practices in your company, and you owe it to yourself, your employees, your vendors, your customers, and everyone in between to make the flow of information and the flow of products as seamless and efficient as possible. And the reality is analytics aren't going away. They're here to stay. and it is time for your company to take advantage of them by using a dedicated TMS that is built on them and can support growing analytics needs with a team that is able to develop those. As you can see from the graphic here, many of you have been getting descriptive and diagnostic data for years. It'll be in the use of predictive and prescriptive analytics where this true optimization will start to shoot out hidden costs and inefficiencies to help optimize your shipping routes and streamline your shipping ability. The industry is not yet quite mature when it comes to predictive and prescriptive analytics, but like I said earlier, various technology providers such as Ceresys and PeerBridge, we're going to continue to embed more analytics and advanced technologies to provide these capabilities to shippers as they come online and have development teams who are able to include these features as the market calls for them. All right, so those were the trends. Now we want to talk about, to the audience here of freight shippers, the case for adding Parcel and what it can do. Bob's going to talk about how it helps you achieve full omnimodal shipping and what that means with alternate delivery channels. I'll address a little bit about deconsolidation of shipments and the role of the TMS in aiding you in doing that. Bob will then cover drop shipping to your customers and customers. And then finally, he'll talk a little bit about how you can pack for profits with cartonization. So back over to you, Bob, on how we're evolving from monomodal to omnimodal. And Bob is working on getting off mute here. It seems all
Oh, you are so astute, Adam. You are ever so astute. Are you watching me? We're not even in the same room. Thank you again, Adam, and I apologize, everyone, for talking to myself. I often do that. Historically, transportation management systems have done a good job in offering effective shipment planning. One of the objectives of these planning modules was to do what's called upmoding. As we move up mode, the cost per pound or cost per hundredweight becomes lower by an order of magnitude. It worked well when we had a lot of stuff going to a single location or a group of locations in relative proximity to one another. Additionally, this planning aggregated orders or demand over minimally a few days, most often probably over a week. And the delivery expectations were often anywhere from 7 to 10 days out from the time the order was placed. We all know we don't have those types of expectations any longer. When dealing with consumer goods and e-commerce, those days have changed. Now, to be effective, one needs to be well equipped to accommodate small parcels, local, and final inch carriers or across the threshold types of shipments. We certainly cannot be monomodal in our approach to meeting the demands of the customer. We can't rely upon upmoding to reduce the cost per pound. We haven't got the density or the time to make that work effectively. We need to find new ways to reduce our cost per pound. Those ways will have to be by finding the best final mile carriers across the available modes, whether they be national or regional carriers, local carriers or couriers, and across the threshold or white glove services. Consolidation and deconsolidation are critical, but as critical as understanding the modes available at the point of deconsolidation and minimizing the amount of space we are going to occupy within any of the delivery vehicles we expect our freight to move on. So,
and speaking of different freight moves and going from monomodal to omnimodal, a big part of that is understanding how deconsolidation works and being prepared for deconsolidation. So when you're able to combine the execution of LTL and parcel shipments in the same system, you're able to get creative in deconsolidation strategies. LTL provides the ability to reduce shipping costs, transit times, and handling with a transportation solution called zone skipping. It works like this. The shipper consolidates individual orders to fill an entire trailer heading to the same destination. The shipment travels from one major shipping zone to another without stopping to unload or reload along the way. Once the driver reaches the destination region, the packages are deconsolidated and made ready for distribution and then sent via parcel to its end destination. This might be kind of like where you see a manufacturer shipping to Best Buy's distribution center, and Best Buy is increasing their e-commerce offerings, and they're now selling from that distribution center these individual parts via parcel. Now, you're able to deliver more effectively and save money shipping LTL from manufacturing to warehouse or DC, then use the same system to ship via parcel. So that means you could really mirror that manufacturer to retailer situation on your own. You might manufacture, go to one of your warehouses, and then whatever you may need to ship via e-commerce for the first time, to your buyers who are maybe buying things one-off versus in bulk. It at least gives them that option, so it makes you more flexible as a shipper. Now back to Bob for a discussion on drop shipping.
Great. So there's a century-old adage in retail that says people don't buy from empty shelves. What is true of brick and mortar selling is true of online selling. If your customer's inventory runs dry, their products won't sell. So reaching the customer fast while keeping costs in check takes a new way of shipping, an omnimodal strategy where the endless aisle meets the local delivery. A strategy that extends your inventory downward to your stores, laterally to other distribution centers, and upward to your suppliers and manufacturers. By spreading your inventory across and beyond the enterprise and moving it closer to customers, you create an endless aisle that will never experience a stock out. And combined with the new non-traditional local carriers for same or next day, personalized white glove, over the threshold type deliveries. Bike messengers, couriers, LTL deliveries are all in play to improve the customer experience and shipping speed. A strategy that keeps the digital shelves full and gives the customer the near instant gratification they want. So next, talk a little bit more about the cartonization. So I recently did an analysis for a large holiday gift distributor, an analysis which took the historical data of how orders were being packed. The study took all of the line items with all of their attributes, as well as the available boxes to pack into, and ran them through our packing algorithms to optimize the space utilization. The results of packing better reduced their shipping volume of cartons by 11%. Now, 11% is a pretty big number, but it's really big when 11% actually translated to 100,000 cartons. So to be able to ship 100,000 cartons less per year is pretty astounding. So they were really excited about the reduction of the transportation charges that came about. As we all know that it mostly always costs more to ship 2 cartons than 1 in the small parcel area. But then there's also the reduction of cartons and the dunnage and all the things that we're putting back into the environment. But they did come to share with me that what they were also mostly excited about is when it comes time to negotiating their next carrier contract, they felt that they'll be able to negotiate better rates as a result of increasing their density for the carrier. Helping carriers to pack out trailers with greater density means, of course, that carriers can get more revenue per load. When that occurs, they are willing to provide shippers with lower costs per cube, helping them with capacity issues. So not only does the shipper wins, but also the carrier wins. So it turns out that there is another group that doesn't like boxes packed with air, and that is indeed the carriers themselves. They don't like shipping air. The reason is because their assets, their trucks, their trailers, their airplanes, etc., they're like hotel rooms. They want to maximize the use of their space because space to a carrier equals money. As e-commerce has driven parcel shipping volumes at an increasing pace, demand is outpacing the capacity. Carriers are scrambling to deliver all the packages they are receiving, but they're also scrambling to get them all in their trucks if they can. And what happened back in 2015, for the first big e-commerce season, where things exploded was the CEO of Fedex called out to retailers, hey guys, you have some very bad shipping habits. You're not packing appropriately, and as a result of that, our trucks are filling up faster than they ever have. So it's time to kind of go back to school and understand DIM fees 101. So basically what happened several years back for ground packages as a result of the crunch that occurred and kind of hit the carriers without their expectations, is they went ahead and began dimming or dimensionally weighing and rating ground parcels for the first time. And that was taking the length times width times height and dividing it by a dim factor. And in the event that that dimensionalized weight is greater than the actual weight, then the dimensionalized weight is the weight that's used to rate the package. So if we continue to the next slide, you notice that the ground dim factors pre-2011 were 194, so they're really more or less not even in existence. But the lower the denominator becomes, 194 down to 139 in 2018, the more you can expect to pay. As an example, moving the dimensioning factor or denominator from 194 to 139 increased the dimensional weight of a 12 by 12 by 12 carton from 9 pounds to 13 pounds. That's a 44% increase in the rated weight of that package. So we need to keep our eyes open, as history often has a tendency to repeat itself, and we expect that in the future that denominator is going to continue to go down as the carriers are going to try to get more weight into their trucks. So cartonization algorithms are much like a 3D Tetris game. How can we pack the most amount of stuff into the least amount of space? We begin by understanding all the attributes of the order, that being what are the weights and dimensions of each item or SKU that we're packing on the order, and the associated quantity of each one of those items to the order. Then we apply special business rules, such as this SKU can be nested, so I can pack other SKUs inside of it. Or this SKU must be packed alone, or must be packed in a certain orientation, oftentimes bottles, to minimize the opportunity for spillage. Another business rule is this carton cannot weigh more than X number of pounds. So then the algorithm must understand what are the sizes of boxes or pallets which are available to pack in or stack on. And now we add some more complexity, which really speaks to how powerful the algorithms have become. That complexity is each carrier has negotiated a different dim factor. Remember, the numbers which are getting smaller that I spoke of make the dimensional weight even higher. So in addition to differing dim factors, some carriers don't charge dimensions when shipping in local zones 1 through 4. So as a result, the algorithm will run and find the lowest costs across all the carriers where dimensional weight is measured, then produce packing instructions of how to pack each item along with its orientation into which carton to attain the lowest cost. Very powerful, yet very effective, and very instrumental in reducing the cost of transportation in the small parcel and freight arena. With that, we're going to turn it over to another colleague, Roger, for a quick demonstration of the Ceresis Rater.
All right, let's pull this over, and thank you, everybody. Just a little background on myself. I was with UPS for about 25 years, so I'm familiar with the parcel industry. Spent the rest of my career in the LTL side. Work with the Ceresis Rater today. I just want to take you through a quick demo of how powerful optimization of your shipping can be when you're looking at multi-carrier options, as well as also including an opportunity to shift that over into a different type of carrier structure in the LTL industry. So in this TMS that I'm going to take you through, I'm just going to show you very quick how to process small parcel, get multi-carrier options. So as we go through, we're just going to populate some data in here so you can see that we're pulling from a database that's been preloaded into the TMS. course, all this could be integrated through ERP systems and e-commerce models. And as you go through and you're processing the shipment, you will see that, as we head down here, I'm going to enter in those dimensions that are so important to those small parcel characteristics. So in this situation, I'm going to ship, just to show you the powerfulness of this tool, I'm going to ship 12 packages. My dimensions are going to be a 12 by 24 and by 24. And my unit weight in each one, I'm just going to put in there that it's going to be 40 pounds. That's a pretty substantial shipment. So I have an option to take that through and just generate it in small parcel, or I can request the rates and see what that looks like, not only through my small parcel carriers, but it also gives me an option to look at LTL. So when I go through the request rate structure here, as you can see what it's doing right now, it's calling out to my Fedex contract agreement, pulling the rates in from that. It's also pulling in the rates from my UPS agreement. And in this situation, we're pulling in the post office. And you can see on the screen what it does is it gives me all my carriers at one time. So I'm at the threshold of making the best business decision I need to make based on either cost, carrier selection, time in transit, whatever I need to make that decision for that customer, I'm able to do it at this time. I can do a couple of things here. I can just select Federal Express and go ahead and process the packages. That's my carrier of choice. So I can generate that and it'll generate the labels. I'm done processing, I move on to my next order. Or I can convert that over to an LTL shipment. So in our TMS, what it allows you to do is it allows you to look at all your small parcel carriers, see what those rates look like, and then also do a kind of a gut check comparison into the LTL industry to say, if I were to consolidate those, put them on a pallet, shrink wrap it and move it out as an LTL shipment, it gives me the option to convert it over to that. But in this situation, I'm just going to choose Federal Express, even though the LTL looks like a good opportunity for me, but maybe the customer directed they wanted it to go Federal Express, so you're going with what your customer's recommendation is. So I'm just going to go ahead and generate that, and what it does is once I say I'm going to go ahead and choose that FedEx shipment, it goes through the process of pulling all the data in, assigning the tracking numbers, and then generating the labels so that you go to your label screen and you're able to print those, adhere them to the packages, and then make sure that that order goes out on Federal Express that day. So as you can see, the system basically goes in, pulls the tracking information in, applies that to the labels, generates every label for the package, and then you move on. So with that, it was just a quick demonstration of exactly what you can do in maximizing the view into your carriers, pulling the rates in from each individual carrier that you may use from a small parcel perspective, also incorporating that into a decision-making tool that allows you to compare that to an LTL type shipment, and hopefully make the best decision for your customer at the time when you're going to process those orders. And keep in mind, that also can be done on the front end through procurement, through PO numbers, so it's generating all that information into the TMS and allowing that to populate for you as you go in and enter a PO number or a customer number or whatever that looks like. But it gives you full visibility, full capability, decision-making enhancements and guidelines right at your fingertips, and hopefully helps you get those packages moving with the right carrier in the right situation with the right decision. That's what I wanted to go over. Appreciate your time, and I'll turn it back over to Adam and to Bob.
Yeah, thanks so much, Roger. Appreciate that. Now we're on to our Q&A session here. So if you do have any quick questions, whether it's about the system you just saw from Roger or anything we covered, give you about 20 seconds there to answer that. But we got one here. Looks like it's for Bob. So Bob, you talked a lot about omnimodal shipping, and I believe I've been the person asking the question. I've been an omnimodal or a monomodal shipper for quite some time. I've been using the same carrier that I'm most comfortable with, and maybe so often a carrier there, but I really like my relationship with my carrier, my parcel carrier. Won't adding more to the mix make things more complicated and make me have to arrange more things? So what do you think, Bob?
Well, if you're currently using the Ceresys Raider, and you're able to take that small parcel carrier the one single one that you're comfortable with using, you now have one platform that can do basically what Roger just showed you. You can begin showing or comparing that one carrier to what your freight rates are, and really begin to be able to drill down and get the most efficient or cost-effective solution for your customer. I would suggest, however, just kind of to keep your trading partner, your customer honest, when it comes time to for the new contract, at least take it out to bid, so you're comfortable with understanding that things haven't changed since the last time you've negotiated that contract. But again, if you want to stick with a single small parcel carrier, but add the Omnimodal, add more modes to it, the Ceresis Rater can do that for you as well.
Okay, very good. We had a question come in from Maxwell. How does the Rater work for a site with several thousand shipments per day? Can it handle that, Roger?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have customers that do that type of volume in our system on a daily basis. You know, the flexibility of a TMS, the nice thing is it's cloud-based. You have the ability to set that up in any system, really integrate with any type of ERP system out there. So the ability to process, it all depends on what you're processing, the type of carriers you use, but all get loaded in, and the flexibility is there, and it's just as fast and easily used naturally in the industry as any other type of shipping system you may have with a carrier direct. It just has a lot more flexibilities and capabilities within its infrastructure, and the fact that everything's cloud-based with it really allows us to set up multi-users, inbound, outbound, people that drop ship, whether it's truckload, small parcel, or LTL.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the inbound side. We have a customer who has thousands of vendors who are scheduling pickups to go to our customers' locations. Handles those just fine, along with the outbound shipments of that same customer. So whatever your setup is, it does scale very well. We had another question here from Michael. Will the Rater provide time in transit? Is it filters for LTL, Michael? I'm not sure if that's a typo. Maybe I'm just uninformed, but Roger, will the Rater filters? Okay. Will the Rater provide time in transit filters for LTL? Meaning, I assume, will it show how long it takes for the LTL to get to its destination?
Yeah, absolutely. Even going through the demo, you could see that as we pulled up the small parcel options, it gave time in transit, gave you multi-levels, whether you're shipping at ground, air. It gives you all those capabilities. Same thing on the LTL side. When you pull up the carriers, it's going to give you time in transit. It's going to give you limits of liability. It's going to let you know when that shipment should be delivered, and it's also going to give you the cost, so you're making the ultimate decision there based on whichever criteria is driving that decision guideline at the time.
Fantastic. Okay, and then a couple other questions I think we can field here for Roger again. So I saw you booking parcel shipments there. What about parcel invoices? Does the system provide, or does Ceresis provide some sort of parcel auditing services for parcel invoices?
That's a great question. So we have an extended arm partner that does all of our parcel auditing and negotiations on that side of our partnership. They're the experts in doing that, and we brought them together with us as a partner to make sure we had a robust solution for all of our customers. So we do the auditing. We also do the parcel negotiation. Strongly recommend that you are looking into both if you're not using them today. It's a great way to understand the market, what rates are available out there, capacity, trends, and really what your particular characteristics and volume can demand. And then naturally, you've got the auditing piece to that to keep everyone honest, make sure you're getting the exact agreement in place and executed. So you're just keeping the carriers at the level that you would expect they would be, which is providing the service that's contracted and making sure you're getting those rates applied accordingly. So absolutely, if you're not doing that today, it's something that should be looked at and taken into consideration for your organization. We strongly recommend it across the supply chain.
Okay, this is a question I think for Bob. Bob, how do we get our carriers set up in the system? How does it read our rates? And is it only the USPS, FedEx, and UPS that is supported?
A good question. No, we certainly do go on beyond the national carriers. There's regional carriers that are available to negotiate rates with. We typically attempt to talk to components that have been authored by the carrier via use of our APIs. And when doing so, we can, in most cases, we will bring back the negotiated rate. But if you would like to actually use the published rate for a reason, we can bring back either the published or the negotiated rate. So hope that answers the question. Was it a two-parter or just one?
I think it was asking, how do you connect the rates? I'm not sure if you covered that.
Yeah.
And how we get them connected.
Yes, we have pre-authored APIs to a significant library of carriers. And in the event you have a carrier that's not part of the library, we would then go ahead and attempt to work with them to use an API to call their engine. In some cases, we can go ahead and build rates within our platform that have been negotiated with a carrier that doesn't have the technology necessary to provide us with the rates. So two-way, API or local.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Give a couple of seconds for that. Doesn't seem like it. Well, we also wanted to wrap things up. We wanted everybody to know on this webinar, we really do appreciate you taking your time out here. We wanted to, give you a small token of our appreciation, nice little offer that we're offering here. Right now, we are, speaking of loading carriers, we're waiving the fee to loading carriers, or our startup fee, and we're going to waive any transaction fees for 30 days. So if you'd like more information on how to get set up, feel free to reach out to us at cerasis.com or peerbridge.com and reach out to us. We'll also make sure we remind you of this offer when we resend out this presentation and recording. So thank you, everybody, for joining us and spending an hour with the Peerbridge and Cerasis team. Big thanks to Bob, my fellow webinar co-host, and Roger Jones, my demo extraordinaire, always the best, so fast and so clear, really nice. So thanks, everybody, once again. We'll be sending this out again, as I said, and we hope that you go ahead and check out both of our great websites. We both offer up educational content that you saw here on this webinar on a daily basis. So check out our blogs, make sure you follow us on social media, and we'll see you all on the next webinar. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, everyone, from Bob. Thank you, Adam.